Chairman, it's been a shockingly interesting news cycle here on so many fronts.
Yeah.
And I don't even quite know where to begin, but since we're talking about the Ghislaine Maxwell testimony and the subpoena from Congress, and then also the subpoena of Bill and Hillary Clinton by the Weaponization Subcommittee, maybe we should start there. I feel like there's been a lack of curiosity about the relationship with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of that. What do you expect?
Well, I think that was included in the subpoena that came out of the subcommittee yesterday in Chairman Comer's full committee. So I trust Jamie to deal with that subcommittee and what they decided. I also trust the president and his team. One of the things we're doing on our committee and this is just part of the annual trek that the Attorney General and the FBI Director make to Capitol Hill. So we always have that hearing, that oversight hearing, where you get the Attorney General and the FBI Director to come speak in front of the Judiciary Committee. So we've been working on that. That will take place when we get back in September. So a few weeks from now, we're going to have Pam Bondi in front of the committee, where she'll be answering all kinds of questions. I'm going to be probably focused on this whole Russia hoax stuff that we're now getting stuff from the Director of National Intelligence. But she'll be available for all kinds of questions on a number of different topics and subjects, including the Epstein files, as will Kash Patel when we have him then the following week. So we've been working on that. It looks like that's going to be set for September. And I think that's an opportunity for us to ask a number of questions on a number of important subjects.
You're sort of the master at seeing through the Fed subterfuge here and some of the language and the smoke screens. You've asked some major questions about Epstein on our program before, and so the floor is yours. What would you like to see happen here as far as disclosure on this subject? Because I hate seeing it spun into the next Russia. I hate seeing it spun into like partisan attack vectors. I'd rather just have full transparency. But your take?
Yeah, I think it is partisan. The obvious thing is where was the Biden Justice Department in the 4 years when they were in office? And the Justice Department has indicated that they're going to talk with Ms. Maxwell and release certain material and working with the FBI and with the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General. So like I said, I trust President Trump. I trust his team. We've had a great relationship with the Justice Department. I mean, it's been night and day dealing with Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino than it was trying to work with Merrick Garland and Chris Wray, for goodness sake. And certainly much different than it was trying to ever work with Jim Comey way back when. So again, I think we'll get answers when we have them in front of the committee, which is on this subject and a host of others.
Yes.
We got FISA reauthorization coming up, and we have this where it all began. The real weaponization of government began, I believe, against President Trump back in 15, 16, 17, this time frame that Tulsi has now given us some information and provided some what was sort of the catalyst for all the events that then unfolded that we were digging into. I mean, the fact that they simply changed, manipulated, altered the intelligence community assessment, and it went right to the White House as the reason for them making those changes. That's big. That's big stuff. And then what happened, the events that happened after that, we're going to dig into all that.
I really, since you've been like a dog with a bone on this subject, Mr. Chairman, I'd love to get into that. Because obviously, I think that is certainly the largest scandal in the history of the federal government. But since you brought up Jim Comey, he was part of that subpoena yesterday. I just want to ask a wrap up on this. James Comey was part of this team at the FBI that gave Jeffrey Epstein this insane deal in Florida where the feds pretty much just let him walk and skate. And it seems to be the problem, something that happened almost 2 decades ago. And you had this same crew, this Robert Mueller crew. He was part of the subpoena, but Alberto Gonzalez. And during that time, and it seems like that's where the actual cover-up began. And we've heard the Alex Acosta belonged to Intel. We've obviously seen some of the FBI documentation that they were working with Epstein. Do you think that the CIA has more questions here? Do you think that this is an Intel thing and that's why it's shrouded in such mystery and conspiracy?
The short answer is I don't know. I do know a number of people have raised that concern and raised that possibility. Again, I don't know that we know that, but when these guys come in front of the oversight committee, I'm sure that those kind of questions will be asked, and they'll try to get to the bottom of it. But I don't know that anyone knows that for sure. But I've definitely heard that possibility being put out there. And we'll just have to wait and see what Chairman Comer uncovers.
Good. We look forward.
And the questions that members of the Judiciary Committee may, in fact, have for the director of the FBI and for the Attorney General when they come in front of our committee later this summer.
We look forward to that. We'll take it live. Thank you for giving us that preview. We'll be sure to set our calendars. I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions, obviously, about Russiagate. This seems to be the largest scandal in American history, and I've never seen the deep state tell on itself like this. I think Tulsi Gabbard has cemented herself as maybe the MVP right now of the Trump administration. That's what I'd call her. Since you have this encyclopedic knowledge, Mr. Chairman, about this scandal, and you've been on this program previewing for us what would happen if we actually had disclosures here, what has surprised you about this?
Well, I think just the fact that it was the meeting December 9th in the White House, looks like it was in the White House Situation Room, where you got all the key players. You got Clapper, Comer, Clapper, McCabe, Brennan, Susan Rice, Loretta Lynch, and the President of the United States, all in this meeting. And that's where they talk about, no, we're not going to take what the professionals at the intelligence community have put together. We're going to change it. We're going to change it. And I think this is where the beginnings of going after President Trump, because remember what they did. They used the dossier that they knew was false. They used that as the basis to spy on the campaign. They spied on Papadopoulos. They spied on President Trump's campaign. And then when he wins, they say, okay, we didn't stop it in the election. Now we're going to undermine his presidency. And this all happens, I believe, in that December 9th meeting that Tulsi was talking about, and the changes that she pointed out that took place in what the initial assessment was and what came after President Obama instructs the intelligence community to redo it. And then the events that then unfold, January 3rd, 2017, Chuck Schumer's on national television, and he says, if you mess with the intelligence community, President Trump, if you mess with the intelligence community, they have 6 ways of Sunday getting back at you. 3 days later, Benny, Comey, and Brennan and Clapper go to New York to give President Trump a briefing. President Trump believes it's the normal incoming briefing that the incoming president gets, a defensive briefing. What he doesn't realize is it's actually a setup. And they're going up there and they brief him, and then they talk to him about the dossier. That information gets leaked and thereby gives credibility, leak it to CNN and others. They write, well, the director of the FBI just talked to the incoming president about the dossier. This must be real. This must be serious. There must be real collusion between Trump and Russia. That all gets taken off. And the FBI knows it's baloney. They know it's baloney. They set the president up. And you know that this was their mode of operation, because 3 weeks later, they do the same thing to Michael Flynn. They go, remember, Comey bragged about this. They send FBI agents to the White House. Mike Flynn's been on the job 4 days. January 24th, 2017, General Flynn thinks he's getting a briefing as well. You know, I'm the incoming national security director. They're going to come talk to me. They're coming in to set him up. We have emails from FBI guys, and one of the emails says, is our goal to try to get him to lie, to try to say, I mean, that's what they did. And this is where it all began. And then for the next 10 years, it was spy on the campaign. It was set him up, talk about the dossier. Then it's Mueller. Then it's impeachment. Then it's the 51 doing their thing. Then it's Jack Smith. I mean, it's just like for 8 years, it was been nonstop, but it all started here. And Tulsi has shown us the change from what it was, meeting with Obama, new intelligence community assessment. And you match that up with the events that then unfolded. This looks like a conspiracy to me. And God bless Pam for putting together the strike force at the Justice Department to dig into all of it.
Can you explain very quickly, what is a strike force, Mr. Chair?
It's a focus group that's going to be looking at this issue, bringing in key people. I don't know who those individuals are. I don't know if they've been named, but key people at the Justice Department who are like, we're focused on this. And I think asking the fundamental question, was in fact this a conspiracy to undermine the guy who was elected by we the people to be our commander in chief, to be our president? And it sure looks to me like it was.
It's a remarkable timeline of events. We went through it yesterday, how after that December 9th meeting at the White House, immediately in the Washington Post, CNN, the and the Washington Post, CNN, and the New York Times, the decided upon narrative was instantly laundered out into those publications before the Intel committee could even get a work group together to get that predetermined result. You can see the leaks instantly from the White House. And they cite, we read the articles yesterday, Mr. Chairman, they cite top senior administration officials in black and white. Here's the New York Times version of it. Russian hackers acted to help Trump. This is the day of that meeting. This is how quickly they worked. And this is before the Intel committee before the Intel community could even get an assessment together.
Yeah, could even reevaluate.
And they used Obama. It's like this is a smoking gun. They used the Obama photo there, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Well, and then the same thing happened on January 6, 2017. A few weeks later up at Trump Tower, it immediately gets leaked. Oh, they briefed the president-elect on the dossier. I mean, think about this too. They know the dossier is false, but they use it anyway to create this narrative.
Yes.
So that's the FBI using false information, causing the American people to believe something that's not true. 4 years later, the FBI has the laptop. They know it's real, but they allow that story to be out there. That the 51 Intel people say that the New York Post story is a Russian information operation and this whole thing's a Russian. They know that's BS, but they cause that to be out there and the American people to see that. So both times they had the truth. They had the dossier, it's false. They had the laptop, they knew it was true. And they let the opposite narrative go out there to the American people. That's what our government did to us, all in an effort to undermine President Trump. That's how bad these people are.
So what happens next, right? Like the American public, we're just tired of there being a shining lure in front of us and no bait on it. And I think everyone's asking the same question, which is, how do you charge this? Now, Tulsi Gabbard said quite definitively yesterday that she's referred for criminal charges to the DOJ. Obviously, they've set up the strike force. What you just elucidated there for us, Mr. Chairman, is that they used the Steele dossier as the main subsource for all of this, which was, of course, Russian disinformation. They used Russian spies lying about Trump. And that's a foreign power being used to sabotage our election. And so, I mean, is it treasonous? Is it seditious conspiracy? They charged a couple of J6ers with seditious conspiracy, Mr. Chairman. Could they charge them with that?
Sure, they sure did charge some of the folks at the Capitol on January 6th with that. Again, I leave that to the Justice Department. I am so glad Tulsi did the referral. We've sort of had a lot of these events and these facts, but the idea that she now has the evidence that shows the intelligence community assessment was manipulated and changed, I think is critical. We have John Brennan, I think, saying false things under oath in front of Congress a few Congresses back, specifically when Trey Gowdy was asking him questions about the dossier. So I think you have that fact. You will have to look at the statute of limitations, what crime you're going to charge, if in fact you're going to charge it. I think all those factors weigh in, but we have smart lawyers, great leadership at the Justice Department. They will figure all that out and see if the elements of the crime are there. And then where do you bring that? Do you bring that in here in the DC area? Do you bring it somewhere?
No.
I mean, all those
Please, no.
I get it, but all those have to be worked through. And that's why I believe the Attorney General has appropriately put together this key group of people to focus in on this and get answers to all those questions. Because you're right, the American people say, look, this was totally wrong what they did. It happened right at the get-go. It was done to undermine the entire presidency, the first term of President Trump. That is wrong. That is just flat out wrong. And the guy who was kind of putting all this together, Jim Comey, just happens to be the guy who's walking along the beach and sees the shells or rocks, whatever, arranged in a pattern that says 8647. I mean, that's the guy. He's critical to all this too. So I think when you look at the big picture, you're like, this was wrong and it needs to be investigated. And if there's a crime, they definitely need to be prosecuted.
Just very quickly here in closing, there's a clip of James Clapper that's going viral right now. And I believe that you've questioned James Clapper under oath. And he says that he's concerned and that he's retained counsel and he's on CNN. And I don't want to play it. I just want it as a play-beside, please, because we don't have the time. But he's saying he's worried. Do you think that James Clapper would flip? Why would James Clapper spend the rest of his life in prison or going through all of this, for Barack Obama?
I don't know. I do know this. When we deposed Mr. Clapper and Mr. Brennan, relative to the 51 former intel officials who signed the letter, when they came in, there was a level of arrogance that you very seldom see, even in this town, from those two individuals. It was almost like, how dared some hillbilly from Ohio bring in James Clapper and Mr. Brennan, the two smartest guys. I mean, they were sort of in that category with Fauci. They're so much smarter than you and I, the Iowa guy, the Ohio guy. So there was a level of arrogance there that I've just very seldom seen. But we'll see. What I do know is I do think Mr. Brennan said things that were not true. If you go back and watch when Chairman Gowdy was asking him questions about the dossier, our staff is reviewing those interviews and depositions we've had with Mr. Clapper and others. Clear back with Comey, we had him under oath, McCabe under oath back several Congresses ago. So we're going to look at all that as we try to help with getting the facts to the American people.
We know that you need to go, Mr. Chairman, but we appreciate your time. We have this video of Brennan lying under oath. We'll play it right after you hop. But of course, beforehand, everybody go follow Chairman Jim Jordan. He is crushing it here with almost 7 million followers. It's got to make you one of the most followed members of Congress. And, well, we're appreciative for your insight and for your salt and light, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate what you do. Thanks.
Godspeed.